Was the magic twig a mistake?
To think I would be stupid enough to jeopardise everything that I'd worked my whole life to then ruin it with one product. Like, would they think that I'd even be marginally stupid enough to use something that could be worse than what we already use? I had this footage from kickoff. The instruction from me was, do your very best to try to tangle this and get it snagged. Because when I've shown fishery owners that, instantly allowed. And the geezer's writing to me, calling me a carp killer. Are you going to sue some of these people? And I went, no. I'll let them have their 5 minutes of fame. The time is now.
What does the future hold for the magic twig?
Meet the magic.
Just over a year ago, one of the most talked about tackle products, certainly of my lifetime, hit the market. It had a huge build up. It caught 2 of the biggest fish ever caught on an underwater camera, and it caused chaos when carp anglers got to see it for the first time. Now, this is going to be the first time that fallout has been analysed in detail. So, my opening question to you, Mr. Ali Hamidi, is for a young company like One More Cast, was the magic twig a mistake?
Most certainly not a mistake. I think probably the best thing that could have happened with regards to learning a lot. It was a huge success because if you think, the marketeer in me did not want or ever even expect that reaction, because the true reaction was, if you look back to when I did the videos in the tackle shop, where I did the open day, I think it was a couple of weeks, Angling Direct Rayleigh, and I showed it in public for the first time, and you can see the true reaction of people.
Stop it. Oh, yeah, we like the look of that.
It's amazing. 100%, mate. 100%, yeah.
Are we game on?
Yeah. Big time.
One of the best things you've seen in fishing?
The best thing I've seen so far in carp fishing for years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right, so they've seen it now. They all loved it. No issue. Prior to that even being seen in public, I've been on lakes, people under NDAs, fishery owners, they'd all seen it. Absolutely loved it. Not one person gave a negative remark, right? So everything's absolutely perfect. Then the documentary drops with Craig Barwell, myself and him very excited. The night that went out on YouTube, my phone lit up with the, what's the word to describe it? Just an incessant amount of superlatives from people that have been fishing for decades. You know, you're going right back to carp anglers from the 70s, yeah? Just saying what an incredible invention this is. Oh my God, this is going to change. Could be better than the hair rig. All this type of stuff, yeah? As positive as you could imagine. And I remember going to bed that night and Craig Barwell said to me, God, what have we done? And I said, mate, they'll be sharpening the swords tonight, and by tomorrow morning, I knew something was going to happen, and it did. And the best description, when that first fishery posted it, and then another one with absolutely no data. Some people I spoke to, I respected their view. I respected fishery managers' views at the outset, because I'm going, all right, they're just trying to play the risk-free card. I know that that product has transformed our success rate filming. You don't need to be a genius. You can look back across loads of underwater films from lots of different people and see how much people get turned over. And we are now correlating, and have correlated over a 2-year period, a success rate that is unparalleled in the history of carp fishing underwater. You know, we don't have to fiddle with things. We could just use a standard leg clip, the magic twig, and it is a wand. When you talk about was it a mistake, it's a hard one to answer, because sales-wise would say absolutely not. We sold out of what we thought would be a year's worth of stock in 2 days or something. But the mistake is the fact that we never go to work. I certainly never go to work to try to make people unhappy. My dream is to make people happy as much as possible. Like I want to put smiles on anglers' faces. I want to help them catch more fish. We want our brand to make people's experience on the bank better, more efficient. So to see something brilliant turn around in a tidal wave in another direction by people with no data, no facts, just sitting behind their computer screens with armchair theory was really hard to take sometimes. And at first I thought, it's not affected me, this. I'm impenetrable, but I wasn't. It did start to hurt.
The day it came out, in the top 12 trending on YouTube, I personally have never seen a fishing product in that slot in videos. So there was definitely, you've already touched on it, there was loads of hype right at the start. And then questions started coming, so I've got it in my hand, around these arms primarily. Yeah. So what is your response to that? There was people saying that it's not safe, these arms are going to snag in the net, these arms are going to snag with weed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that is sort of what people used to target it to say, no, this can't be allowed.
So I made, in the whole marketing of the product, right, it was all from the soul and the heart from day one, right? From the minute I saw Craig Barwell, when he showed it to me in his in his really industrial form before we developed it into a product, and to what it evolved to and what it had to be to work, to be effective, to do the job it needed to do. But the marketing, up until that point, the video of me crying because that came at a point where we knew it was coming and we were dreaming of this success.
Showed me this thing and I knew straight away, best thing I've ever seen.
And then Bobby catches that incredible carp, the biggest carp ever caught on an underwater camera, on the twig. The fish turns, stares at the lens, magical. We've all been down that road. We all know it. Then it comes, then we reveal it. And I made the fatal error of doing something I should never have done and going on Facebook Live that day in a sweaty kitchen in warm temperatures with what in effect is a material called POM, which is pretty stable, right? It's the first time I'd actually tried to snap the arms inside, because if I tell you the true story, one of the things that we did was actually put these little shoulders. If I give it to me here, we put these little shoulders on, and one of the reasons we put these little shoulders on towards the end of the development was to stop the arms snapping so easily. And even after that, we carried on using it. They kept snapping. My main worry was that customers would complain that the arms snapped too easily and that they're only getting 1 or 2 fish out of it. And I was thinking of the customer, thinking, God, I don't want to bring something out that costs a tenner for 2 of them, and they're only going to get a bit of use, and then they're going to complain that it snapped too easily, because that's what would have happened the other way. Yeah. But the fact was, through genuine usage and practice in the most extreme circumstances, from snaggy lakes to windswept oceans like Oriana, even with these reinforced shoulders, I was bringing in fish, arms had snapped. And I was thinking, God, I hope they don't moan about the arm snapping. So when I did that Facebook Live, I never in my wildest dreams, when I started, and I did get flustered. And I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it, because I did that at a time where it was heated. I could see there was this army coming towards us. They had nothing. We had data, evidence, loads of evidence. There's stuff that I'm going to show you that has never been revealed to the public. So the arms sticking out, that was about the only thing that someone could point at it. What they don't also realise is this had been thought about so much, like how far it extends, okay? What that meant, it will always extend more. Even if it got caught in the net, this will always absorb the stuff on the fish's mouth, you know? So when some of that tripe came out a little while after, you've probably got it, the picture of that tench, yep. That someone had clearly, what had happened was, and it was embarrassing because some of the people, you'll know who you are, you were putting that out on social media, and actually what actually happened was there was enough good anglers out there that shot them people down, because that tench photo where the angler had clearly, the hook has gone through the fish's mouth, got caught in the mesh, and they've tried to probably lift the fish out of the water with it still hooked, and the tension slipped down the hook link. They tried to blame the twig, which has got nothing to do with the twig. The twig was the lead system. An angler double hooking a fish, or the hook going through into the mesh, sadly is an occupational hazard of what we do. But they tried to blame it on Twiggy. Don't blame it on good times, don't blame it on bad times, blame it on the Twiggy. That's what had happened. So it was a hard bit to stomach, the fact that people had centred everything on this, because it looked different. It did look different. And when I look at it now, I think people were scared. They're thinking, oh, that goes, calling it a weed rake, right? A rake weighs something. This is under 10 grams. Like, what rake do you know that weighs under 10 grams? You had people on YouTube putting it on the opposite way and winding it through weed. Well, with a lead at the bottom as well, just to add a little bit more emphasis to how ridiculous that is. Yeah, so we've made it to work in a certain formation, and people are using it in the opposite way, recording videos, and look it snags. Yet we've got loads of underwater filming, loads and loads of fish landing this thing, pulling them through. Weed does not get caught on it. You get more weed, on a moving item like a towel rubber or the top of your tubing, and there's nothing on this. And there are hundreds and hundreds of bites and video footage of me landing fish in heavy weed without a grain of weed on it. Yet anglers, without using it, seem to know best. But it's my own fault, doing that Facebook Live, and then it started. It came out, and you've got geezers all over the country literally buying them to hang bait bags off. And what they were doing this, and then it's the same as like climbing a tree. If you stuff something down the side of that and hang it, same as if you want to climb a tree, you put your foot at the base of the branch, you're not going to snap it, are you? But if you put the weight at the end of the branch, you're likely to snap it. And it was embarrassing to see some of it, but I'd say I made my own, I caused that. That was my fault because of that live.
It is worth noting that since, we've obviously been sent catch reports and stuff, and the arms have broken.
The arms come off of the twig, but that has snapped, so I don't know if that snapped on the way in or in the net. We'll have a look in the net.
We've got catch reports from team members. Oh look, caught this on the twig, both arms snapped. So they do go under, in the right circumstances, don't they? That's the thing.
Yeah,
I mean, got to realise.
For GDPR, I can't show this customer's thing, but I can show you a screenshot of a customer from outside of the UK using it. He says, so this is long after launch. He says, I absolutely love the Magic Twig. I can't stop catching. My only dislike is the fact that the arms snap too easily and I'm having to buy too many. So the very reason we reinforced it, from someone actually using it, they were finding that they do break in practice, exactly like the extensive testing that we've done across Europe in front of some of the most strict fishery owners, like Paul at Grenville. Like, if Paul at Grenville, I sat there a few weeks before launch, had a load of fish out of it, 50 pounders in front of his eyes, not one fish that doesn't, you combine it with the lock hook, not one of his fish had a mark on it. Because you know what he was worried about? He was worried about, would it scratch their flanks? And because of the twisting and the movement, it does nothing. That was what he was worried about. Would it take off the beautiful scales of some of his fish?
Interesting. That's no one else has mentioned.
No. But that was another thing. Oh, okay. But it's all right if you use a chod rig with a lead hanging off it, smacking against its eyes. But now suddenly this little innocent bit of plastic was becoming scrutinised as the world's worst weapon. You got kids who've been fishing for 5 seconds now reciting to me carp safety. For someone who is obsessive about animals, saving animals, to then hear, I mean, mate, I had bailiffs from lakes, right? Their profile picture is them stood up, with a carp, with his thumb in its mouth, no unhooking match, stood up, and the geezer's writing to me, calling me a carp killer.
You've been in the industry a long time. Have you seen a reaction like that to any other products?
Never. It was never. Not. Firstly, if you take the sales, I think when you talk to our commercial manager Kieran, he's worked in the angling industry a long time. He was in that type of role at Angling Direct, and his words were the fastest selling product ever in the history of fishing, right, for speed, and that's taken into account everything, right? But then from a negative reaction, I have never, ever, not even in my wildest nightmares, did I imagine an industry trying to bully and cancel a product with nothing, with no data. You're talking, I was seeing stuff from people I really did respect before, hanging on to our product to try to upgrade their own media, upgrade their own podcast, upgrade people I've helped. I remember, I hear everything. The one thing I always did is I respected the industry. I respected people. I never came out and called people out. It was probably the most educational period in my career. The hardest, the most educational, and to think one really brilliant product that was set out to make people happy.
God. It's magic.
And help them catch more fish turned into a nightmare of probably 3 or 4 months, mate. I'm talking, people are like, oh, it'll blow over. It'll be tomorrow's chip paper. It wasn't. It just carried on and carried on. And what made me sad was that even our very own sponsored anglers were scared to use it. And I'll give you another really important bit of insight. At the same time as the Twig, we were developing the lock hook, right? Before the 2 came out, I was more worried about people's perception of what the lock hook looks like and trying to compare it back to a bent hook or saying it could do harm, knowing that it does the opposite of that, yeah? Doesn't do any harm, gives you the most incredible hook holds, doesn't move, doesn't tear. But I thought, I know what's going to happen. And what for the first time in my career, I was actually scared of launching a product, as in the lock.
And it's now one of the best-selling hooks in the UK. Is that right?
Yeah, I think statistically, if you talk to tackle shops, you see the amount of people, the amount of... But the point was, I was so worried, God, I've got to launch the lock now after this Twig saga, straight off the back of it. I was scared for someone who loves launching products that are innovative, for someone who gets a buzz from seeing people use products, to actually be scared for the first time. It makes me emotional thinking about it, because it was the angling community that had done that to me. They'd made me feel like that through, in effect, an innocent product, but they'd made me scared to do my job.
On that same subject then, because it wasn't just the arms, there were people bringing up £50,000 fines for using it, people calling for a total ban of it because it's unfair to automatically hook fish and stuff like that. Was there a worry for you at any point, this is going to damage one more cast so badly we're going to have to take it off, even though it was selling well, just because of what some people were saying?
When you've used something, you know in your heart of hearts how it works, what it does, even though we never got to the point of even being able to explain the weights, the science, because all it became was a firefight, right? It just became a firefight, day in, day out. So we never even got to talk about that side of it. But some of the scandalous, libelous, defamatory stuff that went up, we could have taken a lot of people to court. Are you going to sue some of these people? And I went, no. I'll let them have their 5 minutes of fame, let them crack on, because I believe with time, you will educate people.
Still to this day, we have people, when we post about the Twig, oh, it doesn't work, the Twig's done nothing. A lead would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, how do you convince people, from all your years of underwater filming and your fishing experience, know that bit of plastic is making a big difference?
Well, what you have to do is have an analytical ability to look at past information that is available to all. It's all on YouTube. You can go and look at previous films I've been involved with underwater when I've been turned over, other people's films when they're getting turned over, and then look at our success rate. I mean, mate, we got to the point where we're so confident that we're doing Facebook Lives. We're doing Facebook Lives underwater, yeah, hooking everything that picks the bait up, apart from my one under a tree where I learned that having a spinner rig in rocks wasn't, with a bottom bait, was a bad decision, but that has nothing to do with the lead system. The hook wasn't going in their mouth properly. But on a level playing field, we got to the point of confidence where we're literally doing Facebook Lives. Bobby is getting for all to see. Facebook Live, mate. There's nothing to hide. We're there. We're getting bites. So would a lead have done that? No, it wouldn't have, because it never has before, never has in the past. So what people don't understand, when they were screenshotting, the twig hasn't gone off. The twig, yes, it has. What they don't understand is what they're expecting is that this will be lapsed back here with a carp on the end. No, the arms will be out, or the arms, if it's been set for a period of time, the arms are going to be closer together, yeah? There might only be a little fraction. So on a screenshot, those arms, like, when it's like this, side on, how can no one can tell. So they have to trust our opinion, okay? But what we cannot do, what we can't do is recapture the exact same bite, the exact same fish without the twig. All you can do is look back through history, yeah? Understand that why on earth would I go through all this torture after all of it and still put it out every time I fish? I'm not doing it out of spite. I'm doing it because I know I am fishing with the best carp setup in carp fishing history today. I'm not saying there won't be better. I hope there is in the future. But I reckon we've gone from rigs that are 20 to 30% success rate in pickup, some are worse, to something that is almost 100%. Can't say 100%, but it's somewhere between 90 and 100. And that is what our data is showing. So when people say twig's done nothing, I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? I can't show you that same bite with and without. I can't recreate. Oh, excuse me, fish, would you mind clearing your brain, wiping your brain? I'm just going to put this same rig back on the same spot, same amount of food. Could you please enter the stage again and see how you can get on taking that rig without the twig? You can't do it.
It's a very hard thing to prove, definitely. And obviously you've caught, in your lifetime, loads of fish without a magic twig,
yeah,
which is what loads of other people are probably thinking.
Yeah.
So do I need it? But obviously from your underwater experience, you've seen how many times we actually do get done, even on the spinner, which is what everybody's using.
Yeah,
as
even on everything.
rigs.
Even on everything. Yeah, short hook links, long hook links. Like, one of the things this has done, what people do not understand is the way it works in two stages. So one is when it's loaded, yeah. So one is at its loaded state, yeah. You first got tension in your line, you've got the weight of the lead, they pick it up, they've got to obviously straighten the hook link. So if a fish swims towards the lead and the hook link goes slack, of course the twig does not come into effect at that point.
That's the bit that people are saying, oh, the twig's not doing anything because the hook link has to be straight. But then obviously if you can just clarify what the twig is then doing then to the hook point.
Well, so what will happen is when the hook link gets straightened, you'll get the first thing that will happen is obviously the arms will come out. Then you get this little prick effect, which is something they've definitely never been used to before, something suddenly pulling back at them in addition to the lead. And then the next stage is phase 2, which is been another revelation from it, is actually the fact that it's got the inner braid, the spring. You then have this suspension, right, which no other carp rig. We've had elasticated feeders which go forever, yeah. You've got things like Steve Renyard's Hermit rig, which had a bungee foot, but then that is a bit of pole elastic, right, or marker elastic. It's going to come away. Where this has got a limit, it goes to there, and that is then, as they shake their head, it's just bouncing. They can't get rid of it. So their only reaction then is to go bolt left, right, away towards you. But the takes are dramatic. The takes are vicious. You can see. I mean, it's every. They won't sit there shaking their head, which they've done with other things. You won't get occurrences where you just get a drop lead and you wind in with no lead on because you've been completely done. They're completely nailed, and even to the point where you can have fish stuck in weed pads with a barbless hook or something. I had it at this very venue last week. I've played a fish, it's gone with a barbless hook, it's gone round the pads. All the tension's gone out of the fight, but that's kept the hook in.
Go on, a twig. Wand.
Because of that suspension. So it's working in 2 stages for you. And the saddest part of all of this is that in a year, especially in the UK, not in Europe because lots of people are fine, but in the UK, there is a massive majority of anglers that have been deprived of an opportunity to use one of the best products ever to come into the sport. Deprived. Because they have had the opportunity taken away. They would have missed out on fish. They would have missed out on success. They would have missed out on... They've left fish in lakes. There's so many lakes that allow it, yet the assumption is it's not allowed. There's an assumption, there's people that go to Linear, don't even realize, Linear have allowed it since day one. Todber Manor, allowed since day one. They had baskets full of the stuff, like as in trolleys, sorry, not baskets, trolleys full of them. You know, you've got RH, you know, some of the most expensive, valuable, massive carp in the... Allowed it since day one, 0 issues. Grenville Syndicate, allowed since day one. The list goes on and on and on. You know, there's a lot of syndicates that just kept their mouth shut because they allow a lot of things, you know.
I've looked, and trust me, I've looked. I've found about 8 examples of a trailer.
Yeah.
And that's looking incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Now, if we photographed every trailer that came in, you'd find a lot more than 8 in a year, wouldn't you?
If you photographed, this is the part, these are the parts that made it very difficult, because I'm never going to blacken the name of any other brand's products. I'm never going to talk about another brand in a bad light. I'm never going to say bad things. But if we wanted to really get to the micro detail, if we took a photograph of every trailer that came into the bank, you would see a menagerie of different brands, products on the end, yeah? But of course, in that period, the only photographs they're going to take, because other times when we get a trailer in, we unhook it, we deal with it, but of course, if you had the twig on, it's hot to trot, isn't it? When someone who has proven themselves over years to care for fish, wildlife, animals, was suddenly being seen as the bad guy, and that I'd thrown all my morals and integrity out of the window to make money out of a product, which was the hardest thing to absorb. For them to think I would be stupid enough to jeopardise everything that I'd worked my whole life, over 2 decades on, building, to then ruin it with one product. Like, would they think that what even be marginally stupid enough to use something that could be worse than what we already use? Look, there's one guy, £50,000 fine guy, yeah, who kept coming at me, yeah, first trying to use the EA and then trying to use size and spectrum. This is a traditional cage feeder, right? Accepted in fishing for loads, right? Okay, so let's put the twig against it, okay? This is a 3 ounce one, I think. So they go lots bigger than this, yeah? I use much bigger on the Trent and stuff like that. So here's the twig against it. Look at that. Now this is totally fine. That's allowed, isn't it? That's all gravy. That's all gravy. That's fine. That doesn't catch. There's 8, look, there's over 8 twigs in here. 8 magic twigs stuffed inside this. 8.
Yep.
A guy putting up a video saying you might get fined £50,000 if you use it. That suited everyone's agenda. So that got watched, even though it was an utter load of yeah? But it was clickbait and they lapped it up. You're not going to get, you know, and the EA God bless them. Like I had loads of conversations with them, and the bylaw has been adjusted because it's not a self-hooking thing with like a giant bungee in it. You're talking something relatively subtle to do a job.
It's a slight development on a bolt rig, isn't it, effectively? It's not...
Everything we use as carp anglers is everything we've tried to use since the development of the hair rig and the bolt rig is to self-hook carp. So what are you going to do? Ban every product we've ever done? So, I didn't mean to, but we gave the EA even an issue because they've suddenly got people coming at them because they're trying this cancel culture that we're in now. They were trying to cause problems. They're putting the EA under the cosh, which isn't fair. I mean, the Angling Trust were fantastic. The EA were fantastic, really logical, and that was a point where something like a policy needed updating, But let me show you some of this just to show you the depth of the work that goes into it. So there was footage I had from underfishing prior. So when you're talking about the research and the studies into the fish safety side, what happens if a fish is trailing it. So we created situations which are far worse because some of the things that people don't understand is when a fish is trailing it, yeah? I've got one here. Look, one I prepared earlier. So when a fish is trailing, so let me undo my bit of core free. There you go. Right. So this is some of the big debates I had with people. So a fish trailing this, right? If it is a lead on, it will be going like that along the floor. But people were describing it as a rake. They think it's going to go, well, if a fish is swimming, right, the fish is first. So I'll put it this side so you can see, look, the fish is first. Be swimming like that, fish's head goes first. Not the twig. The twig isn't at the front of the line, yeah? The twig's not first. It's the fish's head. Yeah, so when I've got fishery managers saying, oh, it'll get, on the bite, it could get encased in weed. No, mate, because there's a carp's head there. There's a carp, like you've hooked a fish, But then I think, okay, what if a skimmer bream or a bream's trailing it or something like that? This is how deep I was thinking prior to it coming out, I'll use this. This is what, if it was just trailing, right, that's what's going to happen. It's dangling there. Either a lead's there, so the lead would be the heaviest thing, but that's not a rake. And we didn't put this stuff out because I did not want to go down the road of getting into a debate of all the bad side of what we do. Let me show you some of this. So this is our beloved Luke. This is him just trying to pull it through weed, yeah? Okay, so doing this is the rake, yeah? This is him raking, swimming.
He's moving fast there as well.
And he's moving fast along sort of Canadian and a different mix of weed. There you go, right. So he's going to lift it. We'll go to the next clip. He lifts it up. So you've got to define what's a dangerous amount of fish trailing weed? What a handful of weed? Do you think something else doesn't pick up a handful of weed that we already use? But suddenly our little 1.5 centimetre wide twig is being dramatised as this weed rake. The twig's not got fins and doesn't swim. So, look, and then, so these are weed clips, right? Here we go. So trees, snags, yeah? Now, we did a number of snag tests where they were deliberately trying to manipulate the twig to get caught. So the instruction from me was, do your very best to try to tangle this and get it snagged. I mean, like, really try to snag it. Yeah, do your best to show whether these arms were too rigid or completely flexible and springy to bounce off any object they came into contact with, right? So here we are. So here's one. This is Luke again. Now, this is him trying to pull it under a tree stump root. There you go, look. Okay. And I'm asking him, how much pressure are you putting on there, Luke? Is that, could a roach do, like, is that a skimmer bream amount of pressure? He's like, hardly anything.
Wow.
It's a flick of my...
I haven't seen that.
No, you've not seen any of this.
That's the one right there.
Yeah, look, no, they get better, mate. I'll show you what the worst thing of all is, and it's something everyone uses. and they can't avoid. Look, this is just a hand. This is his hand. There's no carp's head. There's no body. He's trying. This is as bad as it will ever get. He's got a lead on. No pressure. Look, see there? He's trying to put, see the worst thing there? That's a bare bit of line behind. He's having to pull bare line through. The twigs come out easily. Doesn't even get snapped. Fishing line, your worst enemy underwater, yeah? And when people say, Ali, how come you've gone to a fishery that banned the twig? Well, I show them this, and they instantly change that. This is what
Look at this snag as well. That's the kind of snag people would be uncomfortable fishing next to because of how brutal it is with anything, not even the twig.
Yeah, look at it.
And
Look,
he's just pulled it straight through it.
Just pinging off. He's barely, you can see his arms just there. He's just paddling with barely any strain, look. Or it'll twist and turn around it. But what makes me sad is that people don't realise that all this research had already gone in. But this was the confidential stuff that I just didn't want to go into public to expose what we do, because we're talking about the worst side of it. Oh, right, what happens when our line breaks and the fish are swimming around? You're all going to get bitten off by pike. You're all going to get cut off. Now, this is the clip. Right, okay, ready? So watch this. So look, he's trying to pull the twig into a tree here. Look. And look what happens. So he does this. But look, it's snagged. Look what's happened. Bare line, bare fishing line with nothing on it, because I asked them to do it with 30, 40 metres of line behind them, is twisted and tangled up behind it. So what we're going to do, ban fishing line?
It's pretty eye-opening. I don't.
So I've never shown you this, have I?
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I had an idea from the way you described it, because of the flexibility in the arms, that it would ping off like that.
Yeah.
Which is what it's doing.
Which is in practice playing fish. And mate, look how many videos we've got of this. Look, one after another, and you can play them over the top here. But I have sat on that the whole year and prior to protect the sport. Because when I've shown fishery owners that, instantly allowed. Because they then realise, oh, we got it wrong. It is fine. He was right. He was actually right. They had tested it. Blimey, they've even got divers swimming down trying to snag their product. Who else does that? But when you put all that amount of effort in, and then you've got to listen to Fred from Barnsley going on hanging it up from his bait bag in his garden, playing the expert, you imagine how hard it was for me to sit and absorb knowing I've got that. So when you've used something and you're catching fish, you already got a picture in your mind. If I was going to lakes, why would I go and make a TV series with all the pressures that already exist and then use a product that could potentially jeopardise the success of that shoot, or lose a massive fish because I've got an object on my lead system that could cost me a fish rather than gain me a fish? Wouldn't do it. But again, how do you explain that to people? But hopefully, now that for the first time ever, we're showing this footage, people will go, oh, right, they did do their research. They did do all that. They had all the answers. I'm not going to sit there to the end of time and have people call me a carp killer.
Interesting, now you've said that, and now we've seen that footage, which I think is going to open, I'm sort of stunned by it, but it's going to open a lot of people's eyes, definitely. No doubt there'll be some people that still say, oh, it picked up a little bit of weed, but as we said, everything picks up weed.
A towel rubber or your tubing will pick up infinitely more weed because it's the immediate point of contact and its diameter. The way, if you think of lures that have got weed guards, they have pieces of metal coming off them to allow you to retrieve them through weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're metal. This is plastic, right? But it's like a weed guard. It stops weed from collating. And when it's going the other way, that way, if it happens to have a fish attached to it, well, the fish is your weed guard.
Do you feel that some of it is a personal attack against you?
Yeah, there's people wanted to see me homeless.
That was one of the memes going around, yeah.
Yeah,
there are plenty. But you're actually quite good at hitting back at people, aren't you, as well?
Yeah.
And having a bit of banter. So there's a very famous sort of fishing troll, trolls everybody.
Yeah.
And you became quite friendly with him, chatting with him.
Yeah,
How
hopefully,
does it affect that?
yeah, hopefully Ben won't mind me talking about it. But yeah, Ben Battenberg, or Ben Patton is his actual name, a really lovely guy. And actually, one of the things to come out of it, yeah, Ben has a lot of fun taking the piss out of the angling industry. But actually, when you talk to Ben, you realise he's extremely intelligent, understands it, but also I think through the twig, he probably, we spoke to each other and had a bit of a laugh, and there was a lot of synergy there, if you like. But I don't think Ben in the whole that saga was not a protagonist in any of it. It was at all. You know, Ben actually, one of the things, and I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning, he said to me, one of the funniest things, he said, "You've never really had a lot of respect from the upper echelons of carp fishing, and I think this is just about empty respect you had," which I thought, fair point, Ben. I've never set out to please the Carpy Brigade. I've never claimed to be.
You always say that when we're out, that you want the least carpy pictures possible. I think that was one of the first things you said to me when we were on the bank.
Yeah, I'm not built like that. And one of the things I wanted to say, one of the things people won't realise is this haircut. Now, I've been playing my own little game with the whole world, right, that follows me, because the same as the twig looked a bit weird, this looked a bit weird. And I wanted to see how many months I could drag this out for and how long people would keep commenting on it. And it's still going on now. It's a haircut. It's just a bit of hair on top of my head. But the obsession with people and perception and what they see with their eyes and how they react is actually quite comical. It is. It's a haircut. And I did it. It was originally Mr. Twighead because I thought I'd do it for a laugh. And it's carried on and carried on. And people keep talking. Our very own Omar filming here still talk, shave it off. So obviously it's really interesting to see humans and how something that's a little bit different. We've even seen flavours of it recently with the Noble Wind Shelter, right? It's a bit different. And this industry is uncomfortable with inventions or innovations. If it looks different, like the backs are up.
Is it almost too good then? Because obviously that's part of the carp fishing thing is, I need to work out what rig I'm going to use with this. Do you think it takes away anything or not?
I don't think if you ask 99.9% of probably people who've not got a lot of time, got kids, go fishing to want to get a bend in the rod, would they rather have something that catches them more than not? I think they'd always pick that. I certainly, I've grown up from the very beginning with float fishing, and I love the romance of missing bites. Do I want to get mugged in front of an underwater camera when I know I've got something that will convert probably 95% of my bites, pickups into hooked fish? I certainly haven't looked back. The worst thing about the twig is it casts like a bag of shit.
Right.
So when I say a bag of shit, like, it was allowed on Grenville, but if you want to fish it at 35 wraps, you're going to struggle unless you're a really good caster. I can fish it at 30, 31, not a bother. But when you start getting to extreme range, that for me was the biggest negative of it from practical usage, the casting range. That was it, literally. From my conclusions, I'm like, bit annoying for chucking it a long way, but then for using it out of a boat, dropping it out of a bait boat, no drama.
So one of the vibes I've certainly picked up from you in this interview is there's still a frustration there that you want more people to make the most of this product and use it. So what does the future hold for the Magic Twig?
A lot. Meet the magic wand. So for all intents and purposes, it works exactly the same way as the twig. So there's no need for proving that, even though you'll see both appear in the new series of the Grand Fishing Adventure Underwater. You'll see the twig and now the wand. So the wand now works by the word buttons, okay? Buttons. So you push buttons in, okay? Buttons, 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 buttons. people say, why didn't you do this to start with? Well, I kind of explained that when we first launched the Magic Twig. The arms were there to do a job. They clearly, you saw the research, I've shown you stuff you've never seen before. So now, as you can see, a small profile there of these little extenders, yeah? Dare not say the word arms. But these, once they're set in for a tiny period of time, are then completely guarded by these two fronts, yeah? Which is where your PVA goes if you're going for a long cast. With regards to field testing, well, you can see, if you look closely now, we can replay some of the bites from the Grand Fishing Adventure Underwater series. You see it being used. You've seen it getting used. It works fantastically loaded, as we know, with the Magic Twig, but also it works fantastically well unloaded because of the suspension effect. So if you use it both ways, loaded or unloaded, you are going to gain a huge advantage over someone not fishing with it. So the arms are gone. The old Magic Twig, as you will know, it will remain on the market because I love it. And I've shown, hopefully, in this film and documentary footage that shows you why that is, from a court of law perspective, justified. But this version has been developed for you. For those of you at home who thought, what was the words? One of the darkest times in fishing.
One of the darkest moments in carp fishing history.
For those of you who felt that we had developed a product that could have a negative impact on fishing. So the product will perform in the same way. It's with an advanced spring, because I want to now be able to turn a chapter and actually start helping people understand this product to actually go out and do what it was meant to do. Capture your biggest carp ever, give you the best season of your fishing's history, and just make sure it becomes the same as putting a pair of socks on your underpants. This goes on every single rig you want to put out, because we have so many plans for this. But first and foremost, it being used conventionally on a leg clip, and you can see, no doubt, footage here. We've caught a lot of fish on this already during testing, but I've kind of been using both. Using the old one, using the new one, and in the new series of the Grand Fishing Adventure, you've got a mix of both being used. But I've had UK 50s on this as well. And they with this spring, they don't get away with it. They don't. Any questions?
It looks a lot smaller and it looks a lot neater, is my first observation of it. Obviously, I've seen it in use. This is the first time I've seen it literally up close like that in your hand, because you have been very secretive with it.
I think when I put the two in my hand, dimensionally they're very similar. I think your instant reaction to the eye is more accepting. To get these fractions right has taken that whole year. But it shows you that even with all what people thought might have been stubbornness, ignorance, ignoring their appeals for stopping using it, you want to please everyone all of the time, and you do. And that's what we want this to do. We want people now to feel, okay, we've had our say. They clearly did listen to all of it, took it all on board. We now realise that OMC had done research beyond research with their Magic Twig to show that it was of no danger, it was harmless, but they still have gone out and made an armless version to please us. So I hope for everyone watching, you see that we do care about every person's view, opinion, comment. And if that can't give you some level of good feeling that out of all of this bull over the last 12 months, that I hope now, once and for all, fisheries, anglers, you can all put your pitch axes down and go and use a good product that ultimately you're missing out on using if you don't already use it.
So for the people that supported you all along, what's your message to them? And to the people who had doubts, what's your message to them now?
There's people out there who've been really public with their captures by using it. You know, they've had the kahunas to stand up, take it, and they've reaped the benefit. If you don't use it, it's your personal decision. Fine, don't use it. Don't have it in your rig. We have done everything in our power to now create a product that is belt and braces flawless, visually, because that is all it is, visual, yeah? And they can just go out and enjoy catching fish, because that's all we've tried to do. And I know that sometimes I don't seem happy about this whole thing, but I am happy, but I just want people to go out and do what it was initially set out to do, make people happy. That's all we go out to work to do, to make tackle, to make products, to put a smile on people's faces, to catch PBs, to land fish better, to just have a good experience. Like, if anyone meets me publicly, I just want to make them happy. You can now see how much we care about people's perception of us. And we want to be flawless. It's impossible. You want to be perfect. It's impossible. But you strive to make people happy every day. And I know I might have said it a few times, but I genuinely, as a person, like making people happy. This has been resolved, evolved into the magic wand. I trademarked both, by the way, at the time, because I kind of thought this could happen. But I really do hope, and it is, I can stare down the lens and tell you, I hope every fishery manager, every fishery owner, every angler just realises the soul in our hearts only wants to make products that will give enjoyment to people going fishing.